All right. Good morning, everyone. And thank you so much for joining us all here today. Today's Shaar should be Le'ilu Nishmas, our dear friend, Menachem ben Yisrael Yaakov, as well as my dear aunt, Rivka Bas Gavriel Tzvi, and as well as Le'ilu Nishmas, Dovro's grandfather who just passed away and is still in Shiva, Reb Shmuel ben Yosef Dovar Kohen, and L'Refu Shalem Bakarov, Meshulam ben Sarah Rachel, and L'Refu Shalema Miriam Bas Sarah. I'm sorry. Give me one moment. There we go. Sorry about that. Okay. We are coming now on the third explanation of the 7 criteria that Rav Av always talks about, the 7 criteria that one needs and that only Hashem possesses in order to have full bitachon, full trust in that individual. We identify that the only one who possesses all these 7 criteria, not only all 7, but even one on its own to the full, to the 100% max of it, is only Hashem. And today we're going to talk about a couple more of these. He says, we talk about today Hashem's absolute power. And if one of the 7 criteria was that the person or the one who you're going to have trust in has to have the absolute power. And it doesn't mean in strength, physical strength. It means, well, that can mean that too, but it means more broad, that if you go into someone and help in a certain category, a certain industry, or a certain aspect, or whatever, you want to make sure that person is the person that sets the bar. That person, when his word is made, that's where it goes. And therefore, if you come across someone who wants to help you and cares about you, but is not necessarily the person that is going to make it happen because he has too many obstacles, too many oppositions, then that can't happen. And so we talk about this with Hashem. Hashem's absolute power. Vashlishi, ki habori yisbarach chazak mikol chazak. The third quality we must recognize is that Hashem is more powerful than any other power. And if one asks a powerful person for help, his reliance on that person can never be total because he knows that there may be others even stronger than him, right? That's what we just said, that whether it's not the physical aspect, but in any aspect. That if you ask this person for help, maybe someone else will come up and oppose him. And it won't be able to fulfill what you need. Ve'ein meishiv Dinoy, and there is none who can reverse his decision. And Hashem is also the person that when he decides to do something, nobody can change his mind. And not only nobody can change his mind, but no one can change the decision and say, oh no, I'm preventing you from doing that. No matter what any person says or does, he cannot prevent Hashem from carrying out his will. Kamoshanema, as it says, Kol asher chafetz Hashem asa. Whatever Hashem wished, he did. And then it says also, Kein yeh devari asher yetze mipi. He says, so shall be my word that emanates from my mouth, that anything that I say from my mouth is going to happen. Lo yoshev elei reikam ki im asa es asher chafatzti. It will not return to me unfulfilled without having accomplished what I desire. Basically, Hashem is saying that if I say something, it's going to happen. There's no such thing that I decree something and it doesn't happen. It's always going to happen. There's no one who's going to stop it, unless Hashem wants to stop it. That's the third of the 7. The fourth of the 7 is Hashem's undivided attentiveness. And we spoke about this fact, that Hashem's undivided attentiveness, when you go to a person and they care about you, and they love you, and they want to help you, and they want to be attentive towards you. The problem is that person has a life and has other things going on as well. And as much as they care about you, they want to do as much as they can, they have their own things that they need to take care of. Their own jobs, their own tasks, they have a family, right? And then they also have a limited amount of energy. So there's 24 hours in a day, and if they can't fulfill what they need for themselves and fulfill for you, it just won't happen. And therefore, when it comes to Hashem, Hashem has undivided attentiveness. Hashem, when he puts his mind towards you, it doesn't mean he's taking away from someone else, and it doesn't mean that he has other things to do so he can't think of you or do for you to the fullest. And he says, he brings the proof of this. The fourth quality is that Hashem pays attention to managing all of a person's affairs. And he does not set them aside, nor does he divert his attention from them. And nor are the person's needs are hidden from him, from the smallest to the greatest. And this is another important aspect. If I want to help you, but you're not sharing with me all the details of what you need for whatever reason, then I can't really help you always, because I don't know what you need at the end of the day, because you're hiding something. But Hashem knows everything about you, whether what you're saying with your mouth when you're asking Hashem for help, or whether what you feel in your heart. Hashem knows all that stuff, and whether it's a big thing or whether it's a small thing, it doesn't matter. Nor does the need to attend to one matter cause him to forget some other matter he must attend to. So again, this is showing that if Hashem is busy with you and then all of a sudden something comes up, he doesn't forget about you. Hashem is the best multitasker that will ever be. Not the best. He's able to accomplish everything at the same exact time. So by him putting his mind towards you is not taking it away from someone else, and vice versa. If he's putting it towards someone else, you shouldn't feel like, oh my gosh, Hashem's not paying attention to my needs. That's not the case. Hashem is always there to take care of everyone at all times at the same time. K'moshe Kasev, it says in the pasuk, it says, Lama toime Yaakov v'tadabi Yisrael nestar adaki Hashem. He asked over there, why do you say that it says Melekei Mishpati Yavad, my way is hidden from Hashem and my cause has passed my God? It means that what I need, Hashem forgot about, or what needs to happen for me, or what I'm thinking I want, it passed by my God, meaning Hashem forgot about it. He says, what do you mean? You can't say that. Because did you not know? Did you not hear? Hashem is the eternal God, the creator to the ends of the earth. He does not weary, he does not tire, and there's no calculating his understanding. That no matter what you need, the pasuk shows over here that it can be big, small, it doesn't make a difference. God's not losing focus. God is not losing inertia. He's not tiring. He's not saying, oh, I had a long day. I can't do it. Like Ellie is stretching right now. Oh, God doesn't do that. He's 100% full capacity at all times. He's full throttle. That's how he operates all the time. And that's the fourth of them. We're going to go into one more. The chamishi, the fifth quality to recognize is that no human being has the ability to help or harm themselves or another human being unless the permission of Hashem. Why? And he says the condition is this part, understanding, knowing that Hashem is the one, that nobody else can do anything to you. You can't do it to yourself, and nobody else can do it to you. Not a person, not an animal, not anything in this world, not nature, can do anything if it's not decreed by Hashem. And this part is very important to understand and to internalize. And he explains the reason why. It's very important to understand this. He says, because when a servant has more than one master, think about that. How does that work? Who does he entrust? How does he operate on a daily basis when it comes to doing his tasks? And each of them is able to help him. There is no logical basis for him to put his full trust in one of them. So what happens? He comes to have these mixed up, and later on in Shaar Habitachon, in the next page, we're going to talk about how that actually works against you if you do that. But for now, for practicality, we're just talking about this concept. Since he can hope to receive the help he needs from any one of them, then what's going to happen? He says, oh, you can't do it, I'll go to the other guy. You can't do this, I'll go to this other master. What's going to happen? It's going to divide. He doesn't trust one person completely. He has some degree of trust in each one, but not full trust in any one person. And if one of the masters is more able to help him than the others, then the strength of this trust in that master will be commensurate to this ability. I mean, he's gonna trust you just as much as you're capable of. He's not going to really trust you, only when he sees what you're capable of doing. His even though he also trusts to some extent in the rest of them, he will trust more in the master when it comes to specific tasks. So he's going to divvy up this trust in between multiple masters. But if only one of them is able to help or harm him, then he will necessarily place his trust in that master alone. He's saying, what happens if he starts realizing that only this one master is the one that can control him, can either help him or harm him? When he brings an example, he says if his master put him in the dungeon, and his entire existence relies on this master, if he can set free, if he can eat, if he gets punished, whatever it is. It's only in this one master. And so now his full trust is only in this one master. And that is what Rav Av explains, that how our trust needs to be in Hashem. Not in the trust essence that, okay, Hashem, you're good for this, and I'm going to trust in a person for something else. It doesn't work like that. It's Hashem, and as we learned yesterday, that the energy of anybody who you go to that you're entrusting is also coming from Hashem. So at the end of the day, it's all Hashem. So what he's bringing over here to bring home his point is that you can't have multiple people that you entrust. You can only have one, and that one is obvious that it's Hashem. He brings over here a quick story, and he says, we talk about only Hashem's permission. And we just spoke about that. Nobody or nothing can harm you unless it's decreed by Hashem. So there's a big argument over here. The big argument is that the Or Chaim, he disagrees with this concept that it's only Hashem that could make it or break it. Because we see that people have Bechira. They can do things. So how does that work? So he says like this. He says that, and that others seem to different opinion, notably Or Chaim. He states that an animal cannot kill a person unless he was sentenced to death in heaven. But a human being can kill his fellow even if he was not doomed to die. There's a fine distinction over here, and he brings the story of Yosef HaTzadik, and I believe we spoke about this a couple of weeks ago. The story of Yosef HaTzadik, we know when the brothers threw him into the pit. What was the idea of throwing him into the pit? The idea of throwing them into the pit came from this concept. The concept is that an animal can only kill a person if it's 100% decreed by Hashem. That's how that works. A person could kill another person because of his Bechira, and it doesn't take only into account the idea that it's Hashem's decree. There is a degree to that, but there's some weight on the Bechira also, and thus the brothers, what happened was, why did they decide that they want to throw Yosef HaTzadik into the bar, full with snakes and scorpions? Because they said, look, if we kill him ourselves, and he's undeserving of being killed, then it's murder. But if we throw him into the pit, now the animals have there's a different calculation when it comes to animals. And now if the animals hurt him, okay, then he wasn't deserving to die. But if the animals don't hurt him, then great. Then he was Zoicha. But it goes a little deeper. And he brings over here, he says there's no contradiction really between what Or Chaim says and what the Rav Av was talking about. He says, because when it comes down to it, Hashem has to run the world b'derech hateva. And yes, we have Bechira, and yes, things like that happen. But sometimes it requires some godly intervention more than other times. And now how does that work? If you have Bechira and you kill someone, and you're saying, well, it had to have happened because that's what Hashem wanted, the person who was killed, it talks about their merit. Hashem will put forth more of effort to save you from another person, even though he gave that person Bechira, depending on your level of merit. Meaning how much you're Zoicha in that situation. Meaning if you're not that Zoicha, Hashem is going to have to let it run out the course of B'derech HaTeva, the course of action, how the world works, because that's how Hashem runs the world. Hashem runs the world as B'derech HaTeva. And the Bechira is part of that. If you are someone who has more merit, and therefore, and also Hashem did not decree for you to die at this moment, again, it all boils down to whether or not you're supposed to die at this moment, then Hashem will put more forth effort to do something maybe more that's not B'derech HaTeva in a situation. Something will happen. It might still look like to you B'derech HaTeva, but Hashem will put more effort into making sure that doesn't happen and make it look more B'derech HaTeva, or sometimes it might even look like an open nace. But that is what he's saying, is that at the end of the day, there really is no difference to what Or Chaim is saying. He's just saying that it boils down to what our own personal merit is. And what we learn from this is something very important. At the end of the day, having bitachon is very, very, very nice. And as we will learn later, that even a balavera also is allowed to have bitachon, and should have bitachon. But what we need to understand is that there is a calculation here, that God's not handing out freebies. And at the end of the day, we do have to do His will, and we have to refrain from doing averos. And when we ask for something, and we use the word yezoicha to have it, that has to do with it also. B'derech HaTeva is one part. And yes, there is a decree out there. But if you are zoicha, because you have more merit, because you refrain from doing Averos, and you do more of God's will every single day, you get more merit. That's what we learn from this. You get more merit, and Hashem could change His decree. Don't think for 1 second that it's God set it up from when you were born. There is a change that could happen. You could earn it. And that's what we learned today. It's so important, that do what you're supposed to do and refrain from what you're not supposed to do. And that's going to help you overall. Of course, add your bitachon into that. When you really start internalizing bitachon, you start realizing that big part of it is how you treat Hashem. Now, it's very difficult to have bitachon on Hashem when you're slapping Him in the face every moment. And so that's going to help you become a better person. It's going to help you because you're going to say, wow, I really want this. I really have trust in Hashem. But He wants something from me too. And so I'm going to give Hashem what He wants. Hashem wants me to be a good yid. Hashem wants me to refrain from doing Averos. Hashem wants me to learn, to daven, to do all those different things. I'm going to start doing that. I'm going to do more of it. I'm going to do more. I'm going to even take maybe out of my comfort zone to go out and do stuff that I might not usually do for the sake of Hashem. And Hashem might go out and go above and beyond of maybe what I'm even worth. And that's what we learn. Thank you very, very much, everyone, for joining us here today, and I love you all.